All right, welcome to a post-FOMC world. And a little bit of volatility out of the way. In this video, we're going to be discussing the continuation of the emotional pussies on the timeline on social media, the bearish theory crafting, the bearish macro doom creators, and the reasons why the charts look completely different to the picture that everybody is portraying. We'll start off with BTC, and obviously, like I said, we're post-FOMC now, so we've had that little blast of volatility out of the way, a little bit of concerns about interest rates and where we would end up, a little bit of concern, obviously, as always, with the language of Powell, and then also kind of on the Trump side of things, looking at how that dynamic and relationship is going to work between the pair of them, obviously, given that we're supposed to have no kind of influence on that side of things, but we all know the reality is different to that. So, with BTC, I was memeing yesterday on Twitter, you know, like you take a look at this and you just note the amount of emotion, bias change, doom posting that's gone on in this area of price action. Like, look at what BTC is doing. It's chopping around this range here. It's chopping around a 10% range over the course of the last 12 days. And the amount of bearish kind of macro thought processes emerging about crypto in 2025 is ridiculous. This market is still in a very healthy uptrend. This market has not changed. This market is still just chopping around in this range here, and the range on the weekly time frame being from the kind of 90Ks to the 110Ks, and then locally within this region that we've got here from 110 back down to 98. There's nothing that's going on about this. The last video I spoke about being way too early to be calling tops, being way too early to be emotional about the markets and, you know, producing all of this. Oh, it looks like 2021 all over again. Looks like the top's in. Like, it's all bullshit. It's all absolute bullshit for this moment in time. Now, of course, alts, on the other hand, and we'll get to those shortly, are a very different picture. But BTC, very, very clean market. Consolidating, chopping around here, still in a very strong uptrend. No signs of weakness, no signs that this is a top, certainly from a technical perspective. And that's it. Like, crystal clear, we'll move on to ETH. ETH is a way more interesting proposition right now. I'm still hyper bullish on ETH. I think that ETH is going 5K by March. That's not a meme. I believe that to be true. I think that this is such a good higher time frame consolidation for it. You take a look at the weekly time frame here. We've got a fresh high over on ETH, which is obviously great to begin with, market structure perspective. So we have this fresh high over here, which is great. Let's make sure I can get that straight. So we've got a fresh high over here, which is wonderful against this. We've got fresh high against this, if you want to use this as the market structure high here. Very, very clean market. RSI back down to this 50 level through here as well. So looking really, really clean. Trending market, consolidation correction, back down to the 50, hoping for now the movement back to the upside. Nothing's changed in terms of the positive catalyst that I think that we have in store for ETH as well. So I think that Q1 is still going to be a very, very good positive month for ETH. And this chart for me just sets up incredibly well. Then on the lower time frames now, we saw yesterday another move down to that kind of 3,000 area. ETH over the course of the last 4 or 5 days has really been trying to hold on to this 3,000 zone here. So anything that's dipping below 3,100 is actually having a pretty decent time in terms of recovery right now. And this is the first time that we've started to see ETH push into fresh highs through here above 3,200s, and hopefully now looking for impulse back to the upside. 3,500 is a really key level for ETH through here. So 3,500 is where we'd like to see a breakthrough. We're also going to get above the daily high if that happens. So as it stands right now, obviously, this meme line has also come out to play before, but we've got this down here. It looks a lot better on the 12-hour as well. So we can just map this off here. Go here and here. And we're looking for a breakthrough and impulse through here. And if we get that, I think that that's probably the start of the momentum. Why do I think it's the start of the momentum? Well, because we've got that really good setup on the higher time frames, on the weekly time frame with that RSI 50. So we're looking for impulse to the upside. And then we've got it on the daily as well. If we just quickly hop over to the daily here, we're actually starting to potentially diverge this bottom leg here. So the momentum dropping off significantly on this last leg lower. And in order to confirm that, ETH probably needs 2-3 really good green daily closes, and that will be confirmed. And again, enough kind of confluence for me to assume that we're going to be pushing into the 35s and beyond, and then hopefully pushing towards that 5K target. But ETH gets a lot of shit. Right, it gets a lot of shit for its poor performance, and rightly so. It's been a very, very poor market, but the current setup of ETH is not poor. The current setup of ETH is actually really good. Weekly, higher high. Weekly now corrected, consolidating, trend come back down to the 50 RSI level. It's reset nicely. It's ready to move again. This is not a shit market as it stands. Historically, performance compared to other things, yes, has been poor. However, where we are right now in terms of opportunity setup or potentially burning ourselves again, really, 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 really clean market. Then we'll head over to Sol. And again, we're kind of covering off this kind of trifecta of things at the moment with BTC, ETH, and Sol. On the last video, we discussed the 76% move by Sol in a week. It was an incredibly aggressively fast-moving market, moved into fresh all-time highs. Now, what we've got on Sol here is now the daily RSI reset. We know that it's ahead of ETH on the weekly time frame, so we know it's already impulsed away from this weekly RSI 50 level. But we've now had this higher time frame daily correction return to midpoint after the overextension of this 76% run. This is ready to go again. Another market that's set up incredibly well. The weekly just made fresh all-time highs. The daily is now corrected. And what more could you ask for? And everybody's looking at this, it's like the market's bearish somehow. We've just made a fresh all-time high, and the daily is now corrected into a level which you would feel confident that the trend will now continue to the upside. I honestly, it blows my mind. I have no idea what these people are talking about with the kind of the crazy bearish thought processes on this market. The simplicity of what these markets are offering is really key. The messed up part for the majority of people is the fact that psychologically they are so distracted with other markets, with news events, with kind of like staying up all hours to try and capture any new meme coin releases. There's too much information for people. There's too many markets they're looking at, and it's really impacting performance to what are simple market setups. Sol, ETH, very simple market setups. BTC, trending market, consolidating, chopping around. There's no overcomplication to that. But people are so desperate to seek out value in this market. They're so desperate to make up for the fact that their alt bags are potentially bleeding out, that they are over trading things, they're risking too much, they're looking for opportunity in the wrong places, and they have no sense, they've lost the sense of time in this market. They've lost the sense of the simplicity of some of these higher time frame setups and simply buying and looking for higher prices. And this market, I'm not going to say guarantee you, I would like to see this market move aggressively to the upside, to just compound the feelings of the market right now. Because I don't think a lot of people have exposure, even in these more kind of, normal majors for us. I genuinely don't think people have a lot of exposure here. People already have very minimal exposure to BTC. They're involved in the social side of things. ETH exposure is probably at capitulation point. Sol exposure is probably only held so you can buy meme coins. Meme coins will be the dominant exposure vehicle for people now in this space. And I think that Sol moving higher, ETH moving higher is still a painful scenario for the majority of people. ETH is the most painful. I actually think that Sol is quite painful as well. So some markets looking, as I said, very, very good. We'll cover off hype as well, because that is another market that's looking exceptionally good. So I took this trade yesterday on the back of FOMC, and kind of a really important momentum turnaround for hype through here with the reaction of this FOMC candle with the trading to the downside and the very quick recovery back to the upside. Where this chart really gets interesting for me is the fact that 25 resistance is now broken. And on the daily time frame, this is a really significant resistance level for us. can see through here all of the times that hype has been rejected through this 25 zone. One instance here, 2, 3, 4, every single daily throughout this weekly area here trades through 25 and then rejects again. Today, fingers crossed, 12 hours left until the close, it looks as though we're getting a really positive candle to break us clear of that. And if that's the situation, then I think it's fresh all-time highs for hype from here. This is a really good RSI setup when we have a resistance break. This is exactly what you want to see. And what I mean by that is that if we're breaking resistance and the RSI is up here, that's a little bit more suspicious for us, because this here then is potentially the finishing point of this momentum. However, when we've got an RSI that's still very much in this neutral position and we're breaking resistance, that's great, because what it says to us is momentum's got a lot more room to run, and therefore we're looking for something like this. So we want to see RSI in a neutral position when resistance is breaking, and so this is a really good setup for hype. I think there's a ton of confluence for this again across the time frames. The 4-hour is still really, really good here. 12-hour obviously in a good spot, and then yesterday when this trade was taken was when we were starting to see the hourly start to break higher, with the 4-hour starting to do this kind of reset region through here and impulse away. Best RSI push that we've seen in a good while as well on hype. So certainly starting to see that momentum to the upside. Fresh highs through 27 would be a very, very, very strong start to the way that hype is going to trade. And then we'll cover off Fartcoin as the last one, just because the volatility on this market makes it such a good market to be actively trading. This market, as it stands, has been an absolute roller coaster in terms of volatility. So we're down like 70% from the high, 60% from the high. We've developed this 4-hour bullish divergence down at the lows here, and we look as though we're now in the mix of playing this out. 120 is a really key resistance level through here, up to 125. If Fartcoin can start breaking that, then I wouldn't be surprised to see this just continue to trade higher. If you are trading this market, if you are holding this market, you need to be prepared for these sort of drawdowns and swings in the market. This market has had 3 55% plus corrections, and each time a hit has rallied into fresh all-time highs. So this really would not surprise me to see this at $5 plus in the future. Market structure is still holding. It is doing the classic meme coin pattern, which is pushing down market structure to the absolute limits. Okay, so you can see it here. So what we've got here is we've got, our high and our low, and then we create a fresh higher high, and we push all the way back down, but we still make a higher low. Then we push into fresh all-time highs, and then we push all the way back down, but we still make a higher low. So it maintains the uptrending market structure, but it absolutely punishes the downside in between those swings in the market. Now, if this low starts to go here, then sure, market structure is going to break and there might be a problem. However, where we stand currently, really, really good position for Fartcoin through here. Summary. Don't be an emotional bitch, basically. This market is so, so good still. The higher time frames look very good. Alts are struggling. There are certain alts which are struggling. Market selection is super important. Don't ignore the majors in favor of seeking value on memes. I think that the simplicity of the setups on ETH, Sol, and BTC are almost too good to be true, and I think a lot of people are ignoring them. And I know that's because the focus is on memes and the focus is on the desperation for value. But please make sure you consider the kind of the effectiveness and simplicity of those higher time frame majors setups without being in the trenches as often. It might be a good time for a break from the trenches, get yourself some exposure in the majors, and hopefully then have a positive return towards the end of Q1. There's no need for all of the emotion. There's no need for all of the theory crafting, the bearish thought processes, the predictions for 2025 based on a month of price action in January. It's all just complete madness. Focus on the charts, focus on the simplicity, and let those guide you.